Hello everybody, Elijah here. Welcome you all to another Granblue Fantasy video. Today starts the journey of my new player progression guide, and we're going to be starting off with the ranks 0 to 120. I just recently on this account hit 120, and I just thought that it was an amazing stopping point to kind of just start going over how I progressed on my account. Just a brief overview of all the important parts that you should know as a brand new player just starting out the game and progressing to get to where I'm at currently. If you are somebody that is more experienced or you have more knowledge than me in regards to this game, by all means, feel free to share your tips, advice in the comments down below for new players. There might be things I missed out on, might be things I just don't know about yet. So for those of you who are aware of those things, by all means, feel free to let me know and correct me if I say anything wrong in this video in the comments down below. Lastly, the wiki is your best friend. If there's anything I do not go too much in detail on, or maybe I explained it and it became more confusing to you, just go to the wiki. The wiki is so well put together and so well laid out. Any question that you have is probably answered on the wiki. So make sure you check out the wiki. It should be your best friend. It should be your number one point of reference. If you're not relying on like other content creators or whatever, then go to the wiki. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get started with summoning and inventory management because I think those two go together. When you are summoning for a bunch of stuff, your inventory is gonna fill up super, super fast. It's important to know what you can get rid of in your inventory as well as what you should be keeping and just any free summons that exist in the game for a new player. So, speaking of free summons, you should have like 200 free summons right off the bat that you should be able to get access to. And those are going to be your step up specials. They're going to be a classic special that you can see here, and there's also going to be a beginner like new player special. They both work the exact same. The first step, you get 100 free summons, and then you can spend some money and get another 100 free summons. You can spend some more money and you get another 100 free summons plus an item of your choice. So it basically a selector ticket just to pick any character that you would want that was available in the banner. You can see the characters, the weapons, and the summons in the banner down there. Your currency, your crystals that you get, all right? You are only going to use these crystals if you are going to use them, right? I would say save them up because you essentially need 300 summons to pity somebody, or in this game it's called sparking. I would wait, okay, until it is a flash gala or a premium gala. That's the only galas that you should, or only banners, I should say, you should summon on because they'll have a rate up on SSR summon. So you have a higher chance of getting an SSR during those galas than going on, like, say, this current banner right now. Yes, there is a boosted rate to get these characters, but to then get an SSR is like a little bit harder, right? Because it's not a gala happening right now. There's not the bonus rate that is currently happening. And of course, you have been doing some summoning. You did your 200 pools. Your inventory is probably filled up. And now I'm going to go over essentially what you should keep, what you should get rid of, or what you can get rid of. General rule of thumb before I really go into details, keep everything SSR. Any SSR weapon that you get from quest, from raids, from, summoning, just keep it. Just keep it until you get a better understanding as to what weapons are bad and not usable or good to like reduce, then keep every SSR thing. When it comes to SR and R things, most of them you can kind of get rid of, but there are some that you would rather reduce instead of reserve. And I'm gonna go ahead and put up this is straight from the wiki, by the way, going over of the things that you can keep, reserve, and stuff like that. There's a little bit more like detailed list, but again, general rule of thumb, keep everything SSR. Whatever it is, keep it because you never know if you might need it until you have a firmer understanding of what the game is like and you understand it well. Just keep everything SSR, especially if you got it from like a premium summon. Now we're in our crate. You have your no limit, your time limit, and then like pickup, which kind of just shows the things that you recently picked up. And for your no limit stuff, you kind of could just leave things here, right? Anything that you would like need, unless you need it, like I would leave it here. especially your SSR weapons that you get, okay? Keep them here because majority of these you will not be able to actually use in the time being at the beginning of the game. I have SSR weapons sitting in my inventory collecting dust because I can't use them, and after further research, I will never use them. So keep them here just to save inventory space. This has no limits. So again, this is just going to fill up and it will fill up for an infinite amount. You don't have to really worry about it too much. You can just sort through things to try to look for stuff. You can search. So again, if you're like, did I have that SSR weapon? Did I ever summon that? You can then just click through and, figure it out yourself. Like, oh, okay, yeah, I did have that grand weapon or whatever. And on to our like selling, reducing, and reserving. We also have stash, which I think you have to spend money to buy. This is like another inventory space that you can have to just put things away. And um, yeah, we're gonna really focus on reducing and reserving. You're not really gonna sell too much stuff. For the most part, it's really just gonna be these two. When it comes to reserving, again, that chart earlier kind of showed you what the things that you will be reserving for the time being, which are going to go into XP, right? So when you're reserving weapons or summons, you build up this meter that gives you access to this item right here. So you have weapons, summons, and it's just XP, right? When you reserve weapons and other things, it just goes into here. And when you want to level up a weapon, you could just use it. You can hit use, you'll go to your weapon inventory, and you can just use it on a weapon. It gives 30,000 XP. I would recommend waiting because I don't think the XP like the XP doesn't carry over at all. So I would wait until like you uncap a weapon a few times before like just throwing in 30,000 XP because a lot of it will end up going to waste. Pretty sure it does not go, the XP doesn't go over. So be mindful of what you use the XP on. And you also have the skill level points that also you can get through reserving stuff. So yeah, let's go back to the crate. And then we have reduce. The most thing you're going to reduce is the SR weapons that you summon, just because those you get materials for it that you can use for other things. And some SSR weapons you can reduce, but I would wait until you know the game well enough to know what you should and shouldn't reduce. But for the most part, you can just reduce your SR weapons. Um, Again, if you end up reducing something that's like quote unquote important or that you should have saved, you have a better chance getting another one versus an SSR weapon. So again, save all your SSR stuff no matter what. Your SR stuff, your R stuff is pretty safe to kind of like get rid of. You're going to reserve a majority of it. And then some of your SSR weapons you're going to be, or SR weapons, you're going to be reducing. Same thing for summons for the most part. You're going to reserve literally just about everything in regards to your summons for that XP because you're going to need a ton of it. And then reducing, there are certain stuff you can reduce. I haven't really reduced anything. Some last important inventory stuff. Make sure you, hold on, that's the wrong thing. And your supplies. Again, you have your consumables. Do not use these. Until you know, like, the game well, do not use your sunlight stones. Do not use any of your Damascus ingots. Do not use these things. Also avoid using, like, your gold bar as well. There is a raid where you can farm it, but again, until you can confidently farm the raid and you have been getting a lot of drops from it, I would not use this, okay? So avoid using those consumables. Everything else, you can use your rings for the most part, but I would save them. I'll go more into like that until when we talk about characters and team building and stuff like that. But for the most part, do not use these things, okay? And then tickets, generally speaking, if there's events going on or side stories can give tickets, use your tickets when you want. The ones that don't have an expiration date, you can use them whenever. You can save them until, years from now if you really wanted to, right? They don't have an expiration date. The ones that do, however, expire, which is why you should check your tickets every now and then, especially during certain events. You want to use it obviously before it expires. Um, and all that kind of good jazz. So yeah, make sure you check your tickets. Make sure you check and make sure there's nothing that is going to expire soon, and use those tickets on whatever item that you need to use it on. And now we are on to questing and events. When you're starting out, you're just going to do the main story. The first thing outside of like the pinboard missions that you're going to be doing as a brand new player is the main story. I'm currently on 101, and I would recommend doing the side stories that you get. So, for example, there are these little side quests here. Do those while you can. Like do them like as you're going along, just so you don't have to like go back and do them. Okay. Um, it is a lot easier to just progress through the main story and do the side stories along with it. Not necessarily the side story, but like the free quests. They're all like labeled free. To do these alongside the main, just because it makes it a lot easier when it comes to progression, and you get a lot of rewards from it, right? You get like 50 crystals every one you clear. So something to keep in mind. And while you are also progressing through the main story and also doing these free quests, make sure you click the special tab and you also work on clearing these trials and slimes and things like this, right? Just check in. This is like a really good way to check your progression in a way, because especially like when it comes to the showdown stuff right here, right? There are a lot of different tiers to this. Just going through and seeing if you can clear it with whatever team you have together at the current stage of whatever you are at, and just clearing it and trying to see, test your skills, see how you do, and just you're gonna work through trying to clear through like all of this stuff, right? You're gonna try to get at least one clear through everything. Some of these things are going to end up farming, and anything that you need, any questions as to what it is and what it does, you can just hit the little I, and it will give you a brief little summary as to why you would even do these things. Okay. Your main goal that you want to get to when it comes to doing your main story quest stuff is you want to get to chapter 62. Once you get to chapter 62, you basically unlock everything you need as a new player. Majority of like the early game content and like um, raids as well as just like events and stuff will unlock after you clear 62, as well as some very important side stories. So let's go over to side stories. To go over the side stories that you should do sooner rather than later, you can just go to gameplay extras. You'll have side stories, and then you have all your side stories. Right now, there is a current event where you have half the AP cost and treasure, so I would recommend doing this now, especially because it's like two side story completions for the price of one, basically. So you're gonna want to go through and oh, I already forgot the first one. You want to do Blade of a Young Champion first, because when you do this, you unlock probably one of the like the best, most like interesting side stories, I think, for most people. Like a lot of people love this side story. This trilogy is what makes the sky blue. You are going to want to do this because there are some key items that you're going to need for your weapon grid, as well as just some general stuff. It unlocks different content in the game that you're going to need access to. You're going to want to clear this, okay, as soon as possible. And then another really good side story to do is Seed of Redemption, because you get a free character. I've already claimed the character, but there are a list of characters called the Eternals. I think that's what they are called. I'm assuming just because of what the summon is called. But you can get a free character that you can use. It doesn't really matter which one you pick. One of them is really, really good for farming slimes. I think their name, I don't even remember what their name is, so I'm not even gonna try to say who it is, but there is one character in this that's really, really good for farming slimes. But everybody else is also equally good for their own, niches and things like that. But it's a free character, a free SSR unit that you can have. So I would recommend getting them because they are really good. Like all of them are really, really good in their respective element. So and you can get one right off the bat by finishing this story, because the recruitment process of trying to unlock those characters is super, super long and tedious and requires a lot. It's probably something that you're not going to do until like the mid to late game. So getting one of these characters right off the bat is really, really nice. And you get it through the story. Everything else, I mean, it's recommended to do some of these like collab site stories for because they also give free SSR characters as well. This like Love Live, this like Idol storyline. And I think also this one as well. This Code Geass, if you're a big fan of that, I think you get a free character from here as well as probably a weapon. Most side stories will give you a free character or a free weapon or even like a skin for a character, something along those lines. So again, do all these side stories. And when I say complete them, right? Um, because you can go back to the side story whenever, which is one feature that I love. Um, you can go back to it whenever. What I mean by completing it, essentially just go through, read through the story, or you can skip through it, and then do these little like, showdowns and whatnot. And then you're gonna farm the ones that you can farm to the best of your ability to get some treasures. You can get some premium ticket draws in here. You get like three. The things that you should try to go for when it comes to farming the side stories, I don't have it here, but your soul berries, your elixir, your half elixir, and then your premium tickets. That's like the main important things. Everything else you can always just come back to later. You don't have to like do it immediately, like right away. You can always just like come back and farm this stuff later because again, it will never go away, right? It will never go away. And you can always farm it at another point when you want to. You're just bored one day, you're like, okay, I'm going to farm side stories. You can just do that. Next, we are going to go into a co-op quest, another questing thing. For the most part, the normal and hard quests you can do on your own. There are some hard quest bosses that have mechanics that you can either like completely ignore and still do the boss fight perfectly fine. But there is this one boss that took me like I think like 35 turns to beat because I didn't know what the mechanic was, and I just had to just sit out those 35 turns of trying to beat the boss by myself. So ideally, you should team up with people and do these quests. But again, the normal and hard quests you can do on your own if there's nobody online to help you, or you don't have a crew yet, which I will go into right after this. You should make a crew as well. But yeah, if you don't have a crew or people to work with or people to play with, or you host a quest, so you're not getting people joining your lobby, then these are relatively easy to do on your own by yourself. So when you get to the pandemonium stuff, where it becomes a little bit more challenging and it's better to have a team of people doing it, and on top of that, when it comes to these pandemonium quests, um, a lot of them drop very important items that you need to farm, like these that are in the bottom of my like hotbar, like stuff like this. And because those items are, I feels like they're rare. They're not even rare drops, but it feels like it because I having like no luck with getting them. But there are going to be people always trying to farm that. So again, you shouldn't have any issue finding people to play with you to do these quests um, for the most part. So yeah, make sure you start those co-op quests and do them right away. You can also create raid groups. I have not done this yet, so I can't really speak on it as to what you should do and how you should go about doing that. But yeah, you can get little raid groups together to do little raid battles and all that kind of good jazz. So that's really fun. And then we have our crews. So your crew, I don't even know where you would see to join a crew. I guess it probably will be right here because this is where the crew is. Just find somebody, preferably join a crew. Don't make your own. There are so many crews that exist. It is better to just pick one, especially one of the like beginner crews, because you could kind of like have a team of people who are like relatively the same rank and level as you. So you guys can like clear content together and like work together to like finish certain things. And again, you can always leave. If you're in a crew and you're like, man, they're not really like helping me out, they're just like not, active, you can just leave and join a different crew. But I would recommend joining a crew. Don't make your own, just join one, preferably one of the new member crew or the new player ones if you're just starting out. If a team of like 30 people are together, there is a content that you will do together, being Guild Wars, but I have never done a Guild War before because I just started playing the game a month ago, and I can't really speak on what that is like. But that is one of the activities as a crew that you would do together outside of just like questing, doing co-op quests or doing like raids together and things like that. You also have like a bunch of different like things that you guys can build together, like your airship you can upgrade, build like your island. Again, I haven't really looked too much into this at all, to be completely honest, but it does exist. It is there to do, but you want to join a crew. All right, lastly, we have events. Events, they come and they go. Do them. Just do them, right? You don't need to, if you can't clear out certain stages of an event, it is fine. For a lot of them, there are like raid bosses where you can request for help and you can have other people kind of just like do the boss fight for you. But again, for the most part, clear them out to the best of your ability until you get to a point in the game where you can actually do it on your own, or you can just like, you have friends that you can do it with. Um, just like do what you can for the time being. These two events, Proving Grounds is a very popular event. It's very common. Um, and we just had our anniversary story event being Heart of the what is it? What is the event called? I don't even know. It's over anyway. I did not farm this out as much as I wanted to because I just really just didn't have the time. Um, but yes, do the events to the best of your ability on the earlier stages. Make sure you're trying to like farm out the rewards that you can, but don't feel like, too pressured or upset if you didn't clear out all the rewards, because again, for a newer player, it is a little bit more challenging to fully clear out a lot of the rewards for some of these events. Alrighty, and now we are on to characters and party setups and just like all things about the units in general. We're gonna start off with the main character because obviously that's probably one of the more important characters. And unlike other games, the main character is actually overpowered and really OP because they do essentially everything. If there is something that you're missing, a healer, a DPS, a tank, the main character most likely has a class that can do it for you. So as a new player, the first thing you're going to really work towards is leveling up all of your different classes, in the different rows. So, row one, two, and three are going to be like your first like three beginner rows that you're going to work towards and getting all of them. I'm missing Gladiator, but I'll get it at some point. Um, and just like working on that. But when you get to here, like row four, you're going to get to where you need certain items and to do certain special quests as well along with it. So, there's these class champion weapons, and those, let's go ahead and click it because I think I have this one. Um, you can just essentially just get the weapon and you just buy it. You then go and you have to just enhance it, right? You get the materials. You farm this from the co-op quest, but yeah, that's how you get those like later classes in the game. Majority of them will have either a weapon that you need to enhance, or they will have a quest that you would need to do. I guess I'll go over some classes that are popular. I see them a lot, some classes I see that are very universal. I think a very good beginner class, I think, is like the Dark Fencer. And then there is also, in one of the extras are like the same thing as, when leveling up. They just tend to have either a weapon you have to enhance or a quest you have to do. But for the most part, they're like relatively the same. Or you have to like turn in certain materials for them. But yeah, popular classes, that's what we're talking about. I see a lot. A lumberjack, I think, is the number one most popular class. It's a very universal class. It can be used as a supporter, a little bit of a DPS. So lumberjack's very, very popular. Then you have Relic Buster is really good in the beginner class, very universal, useful for a lot of different content. Then I see Kingo, I see a lot, and Nicomancer, I see a lot, and those are some of the later game classes that I see. Is there anything else? I've seen a couple of dancers, but ultimately just pick what you like, honestly. Go through, say you like the samurai, you want to see what they're all about, read their skills, see what their skills are all about, and then just, if you like this, if it's something you want to use, just know that if they have like weaknesses, that your other teammates can cover those weaknesses. a year from now, as you're playing through this game, you're gonna end up unlocking everything anyway. So you might as well just try new things out, try new team competitions out while you can, and just work towards what you want. I am definitely going for this class because I just really like how they look here. I like all the like harp classes. I think they're really, really cool. So that's what I'm doing. That's like my own personal decision. You will see a lot of my main hand weapons are harps because I'm already like pre-planning and preparing for that for the future. So again, do whatever you want to do for your game and your account. You're not really gonna like hinder yourself too much, just trying out different things and being different. Yes, there is like meta stuff. That's why I went over some of the more popular classes, but you can kind of just do what you want to do. You're perfectly fine to just try everything out. All right, so then we have kind of like our teams. So you are going to basically have, just for starting out, you're going to have all the elements. And if you want to change that icon, if you do not know how to, you could just scroll down, style, and you could just change the icons here, but you're going to have all of the main elements. You're going to have a team revolving around each one, just like slot in what SSRs or even SRs. For the beginner game, like you can build SR units. Like don't feel as though like you can't build SR units. They just get like outclassed by SSRs by a large margin. But there are certain like special side quests and stuff where you can only use SR units or you can only use R units. So, for the beginner game, like when you're just starting out, if you just see an SR unit that you like a lot and or you just don't have, enough dark units or like water units or whatever for your teams when you're trying to do certain raids that require you to like use a full team of water, something like that. Just use an SR unit. It's perfectly fine. All the materials you're gonna be farming a lot in this game, like I said earlier, so you can fully just it wouldn't be a waste. I know like a lot of people are very, very concerned about wasting things. You're going to do so much farming in this game. It's fine. And when it comes to what characters you should build, personally, for me, I'm kind of just building who I like. Like this team, for example, I'll use. Um, these two characters, they want to have like to go up against somebody that uses a lot of debuffs, or they want to attack units that have a lot of debuffs. I think like 10 or more debuffs, something like that. They have like bonuses on their abilities and stuff. So again, this whole team is surrounded around debuffs. Now, is this like the best team comp that you could put together? Probably not, but I like these units and, I kind of just paired them together. Another thing, we have our extended mastery. When you are deciding what to put your points into, generally speaking, any kind of like skill damage, if they're like a skill-based unit, obviously you want skill damage and like skill damage cap. You can never go wrong with some like flat, like their like respective element, base attack versus regular attack. This will always, just like from like percentage standpoint, for most characters, this will have a lot more uh, bang out of your buck than doing just the flat attack. This is charge attack damage, so if they're a very like charge attack based character, you know, you can do that kind of stuff. And just some general like base HP. You put like 1 star into like HP, you can max that out, some stars in the defense, to make them a little bit bulkier because your weapon grids aren't necessarily going to have too much defensive stats in it. It's going to be fully offensive a lot of the time. So you can get your defensive stats through here. You have your overmastery bonus. You get this through items. So that's like I said, you can use your keys here, or not your keys, your rings, but I would save them and only use them for characters that you like and you like using a lot because, you can farm these two in certain raids. I do not know about this one at the current state of the game. Like at the current state that you probably can't really farm these. So just like save them until like you get to that point and use it for the characters that you really, really like. And just it is RNG, you get 4 random stats. Um, so again, some of the stats aren't necessary, like she does not need healing at all. So I probably should re-roll this, but I'll do that at a later point. And then you have their awakening tab. You can put in for, raising their awakening level. I could raise her right now, but maybe later. As you see, I'm a little low on resources, but those are the awakenings. They have to be level 80 to access the awakening tab. Another thing I do want to touch on is, and I don't think she has one, but right here you can have a support skill that you can put a point into. And when it comes to support skills, read it and, question yourself, will I ever use this? Some support skills are nice and some are completely useless. And another thing, if you say, you put some points in something that you didn't really want to, you can reset the bonus for this, but you will not get the, materials that you use for that star, right? So you can get rid of a star, but the materials that you use to get that star, you won't get it back. So that's some stuff when it comes to Ascendant Mastery that you should know, puts points in. I'm sure there's probably like guides on the internet that shows like exactly what you want to max out first and things like that. But again, skill damage cap, some if they're like a DPS, their dark or their respective element attack, charge attack damage, and some just like base like HP, defense, stuff like that is really, really good. The last thing I will go over is, currently you will probably see people reference these things or even like have them in their videos or just, certain like team comps that are ideal being or OTK. There is also the like burst teams and then full auto teams. Those are like your three main team setups. You won't really be making those team setups in the beginning because you probably won't even have enough units to do that. But in towards like the mid to late game, OTK just means one turn kill. It's a team that, I mean, I think that's self-explanatory. It kills on one turn. Burst teams, I think they're very much more skill reliant, but they do kill in around like, they're like 1 to like 5 turns. They do a lot of burst damage. I think they're more like skill based or maybe even like charge attack base and things like that. And then you have your full auto teams, which basically just play themselves. You just hit full auto, and the team works very well with the AI, and the AI basically carries the game. You just let it do whatever it does, and you don't have to like look at it at all. So those are your general three like main team setups, and each one has like different weapon grids that you want to have for that. But again, that's more complex stuff that I do not want to get into in regards in this video in particular, but those are some things to keep in mind for the future. Let's get into weapons and summons. Oh my gosh. Okay, so when it comes to weapon grids, I'm going to use my win team because I think my weapon grid for it is a little bit more realistic. Um, this weapon I got from an anniversary ticket, but everything else is pretty much like realistic. Like these are all farmable weapons as well as this one. This isn't. This is also something I got from, this is like my ultimate weapon I got from a ticket. This wouldn't normally be here. But for the most part, your weapon grids are going to look like this, where you're going to just have a ton of Omega weapons, right? So those symbols that represents Omega, you're gonna have like a ton of Omega weapons in your basic grid, and then you're just gonna have some, normal skills, right? The ones that don't have a symbol are like normal skills, and then you're gonna probably have some EX modifiers as well, like 1 to 2 of those, 1 to 2 of like these, maybe even some of these as well. But again, this is more like later game stuff. The only reason why you would have like these stars and similar things like that is if you got it from a weapon ticket or, a side story and things of that nature. These weapons right here are going to be on every single weapon grid when you're starting out, and I would even go as far to say as it's going to show up in your weapon grid in the late game. Okay, so this knife you get, well, you can pick any of, there's a lot of different weapons you can choose from, but I would recommend picking the knife or the dagger, I should say. You get this from Why is the Sky Blue side story. When you complete that side story, you get a little ticket to where you can pick any of the Bahamut weapons. You can pick any of them, but they all each give their a boost depending on, certain traits. So this gives a boost on humans attack, Most people are going to pick that just because most characters in the game are humans. And the next weapon that is very key, that is going to show up in just about every single weapon grid. They look different depending on the element, and that is your seraphic weapon. Okay, these are very, very important. These amplify your damage against the element that you're strong against. I don't know exactly what ranking you get access to it, but the moment that you see the pop-up of, getting access to it, it's going to be in gameplay extra so you can revisit it. It's going to be right here. And you are going to then collect them all and work towards enhancing them. I already did some of them, right? It's going to require a lot of resources. You're going to need these halos. You get these halos from, in the beginning game, you get them from these test runs and the quest. I already did mine for today, but let's see, let's go. It's going to be your special quest, and it's going to just show up here. You can do 2 of these a day, and I'm pretty sure it's limited, as in when you clear this out, like you fully do all of them, you then unlock this raid for like the Primarchs, like their actual raid. This is a really easy, this is just to get your beginner like halos for certain classes in the beginning. But again, the moment you unlock this, start farming this or doing this, you can only do 2 a day. I didn't realize this until like way, way later. I completely neglected doing this, so I'm a little behind on enhancing and getting my weapon up. So the moment that you get access to this and you can purchase your um, your weapon for each of these respected elements, then go ahead and get it. And for light and dark, if you don't have access to those yet, it's because you have to do the second of the trilogies of what makes the sky blue. Once you complete that, you unlock the light and dark weapons. And lastly, when it comes to weapon grids, I will say this, the wiki. The wiki has like a pretty clear I'm gonna reference this like nonstop, but the wiki has a very clear and easy guide. It has nice little pictures. It shows you weapons you can use, weapons that you can substitute in until you actually can farm and get certain weapons. Um, just go to the wiki. A lot of these, like the ones that you see that are like skill level 10, you get these in the story. I'm pretty sure. You get these, both of these, like in the story, and you get a bunch of other ones in the story from the other elements and all that kind of stuff. So those are kind of be your like first weapons that are going to appear on your grid, and then the others you kind of have to like farm the raids to get them, and then have to like level them up and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be a very long and tedious farming process, but it is something that you have to work towards for the future. So yes, those are some of the key things about weapons just starting out. And I will say that the skill level is way more important than the weapon level itself. So, you want to like level up your skills when you get the chance to. I wouldn't just like dump all your skill points in like every single weapon, just like wait. I would say prioritize one element. Like, obviously have your general setup for, your different elements and stuff like that, but prioritize like one element to be like your main element of focus that you're going to like actually invest in the most in for the first, part of your game, your one team that you enjoy. Your summons are used in your to essentially enhance the skills of the weapons that you have. So you have Omega weapons. You can then enhance those skills through their aura, and their aura is only active if they are your main slot. So most beginner grids are going to rely on this little, your Omega summons that you get from the raids, and then you're going to enhance those weapon skills through your summons. That is essentially what your game plan is going to be in the beginning, is to have because this is all farmable, is to have your Omega summons and your main, and then your, Omega weapons and then have their skills be enhanced through the summon. Then you have your other summons. These could kind of just like, you can just put whatever here for the time being. Um, you could just like read and look at what their call is. I always like this one just because of her call revives 2 random allies, which is really, really nice just for like early game content if you just get killed randomly. Summons are a little bit hard to come by just because you have to, the ones that aren't farmable, you have to just RNG hope to get them, right? So I think summons are a lot harder to obtain. Therefore, you really just could be relying on your farmable main summons or the summons that you get from side stories. This is one that you get from What Makes the Sky Blue. I don't know what episode that you get it from, but again, this is like one of those earlier summons. It gives in the sub slot, gives 10% boost to light allies HP. So that's nice. That's cool. Um, that little boost there to your HP. But yeah, you have your main hand, you have some other summons that you can call, and then you have your sub summons where you can just use them for their passive, and they just be a passive slot to slide in. This isn't really doing anything for my light team. This is just there because I didn't like that slot being empty, but this does not do anything for me. So if you're like, what is that Earth Summon doing for your light team? It's doing nothing. It's literally doing nothing, but it's kind of just there because I just wanted the slot to be filled. That's really the majority of what you need to know when it comes to your summons and all of that good stuff. At least a little bit of an overview of that. You're going to work towards awakening these to then enhance the skills of your weapons. And the wiki also goes over summons that you can use in replacement until you actually get these fully uncapped and all that kind of stuff. Last but not least, we are going to be talking about raids. But the things that you need to think about when it comes to raids, okay? You can go here and see your raid list. When you're first starting out, you're going to get like these raids, and you're going to be farming those. You do like 3 runs a day. It is a little tedious, and then as you get good at doing that, and you enhance your characters, you then get these raids, which are just like the past ones, but just like a little bit stronger, and then you do those. Um, and you just keep moving your way down, and then you get like these, which I don't even think you farm this. I mean, well, I guess you do farm it because you need it for Wings of Terror drops to do this raid. Because I think those drop from that previous raid that I just showed. But yeah, those are some of your more important raids that you're going to do as a new player. And then you're going to get to the impossible raids right here. Again, you're going to have to, same thing. And I guess the rule of thumb is like let the pros do it until you can do it yourself. Okay? When I first started this game, I was struggling clearing these raids. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, I was having a hard time trying to beat these bosses. Because you're new at the game, you don't really know what to do, your units aren't built out fully. But again, that is fine. You can always request for help and assistance. When you get to where I think you guys like rank 101, you get to that rank, start doing these daily and hosting these daily because people are going to join in a heartbeat because everybody needs the drops from this. I even should be hopping in right now when it comes to this right now. But yeah, host those dailies when you can. Oh, I guess I could do that for an example because I have to do it anyway. Um, this right here, it'll be very embarrassing if I just don't get anything. Or if like nobody's online. You can pick your little support summon. I don't know who I want to pick. Yeah, we go Lucifer. I always pick Lucifer. Picking my light team here just because it's the only one. I just have it set to full auto. I will auto it now, but again, you hit that, hit request for help, and soon, shortly, people are just gonna start popping in. Oh, here they come, here they come. Right, already got 4, 5, 7. Right, this raid is like one of the most popular raids. You're going to always get people wanting to do these raids. I think you will lock it at like rig 100 or so. Like, look at that. Like, I don't even like. I'm not even doing any damage. I don't even think I've done a single damaging ability yet, and the boss is already almost dead. Oh, but yes, this is essentially how a rating is going to go for you for, all stages, especially like the earlier stages of the game. I am not doing any damage whatsoever, and everybody else is really doing the damage. Um, don't waste your elixirs. That's one thing I wish I didn't do. Um, if you can't do a boss, okay, if it's like doing a ton of damage to you, you feel like you can't clear it, and you get wiped out, don't waste your elixir on, and the elixirs are like essentially like a full revive for your entire team. Don't waste that. Just wait until, um, oh, as you can see, almost everybody died there. I'm going to stop hitting on because they're all probably gonna die. But yeah, you have these full elixirs. I literally don't have any more because I wasted them all on earlier great game raids trying to do them by myself and constantly reviving my team. Don't do that. You get them from like side story events and like side stories and events, but like just don't waste it. That's just like a rule of thumb. You could just sit there and not do anything, and then let other people clear the boss for you. Because there are plenty of people that really want the drops from this boss, so they are more than willing to, jump in and do it because they want the rewards. Because you can only host this raid in particular once a day, but you can join in as many times as you want. So again, that's how a lot of people are farming this, is by just joining in on other people's raids and then clearing it out. So yeah, just a little rule of thumb, and you can even see like the player levels. A bunch of like everybody here, right? Look, rank 200, 300, right? These people are farming. They are farming this raid because they need the boss drops. So host this daily when you have it unlocked because it is going to save you a lot of time until you get to the point where you can actually do it yourself. And it's gonna feel so good when you get to like rank 300 and you can actually just like hit auto button and like do a ton of damage. Like, but as you go through the race, because when you're starting off, you have to manually do all of these, right? But you'll get to a point where like I'm at where you could just skip it. You want to get to this point where you could just skip it, right? You can fight them all in one go. Is a really great way to get like EMP and just like over mastery for certain teams or characters. Like I can pick who do I want to do this for? They have like no over mastery bonuses because they're not actually fighting, right? They're not actually doing anything. So you can get some, bonuses there. Look at that. Look at that. Okay, I just ranked up. Wow. Okay. But it just look at that, and then you can see all the rewards. I didn't get any weapon drops, which sucks, but it is what it is. A bunch of materials that you're going to end up needing. These SR weapons are things that you're going to, I think, reduce or reserve, one of the two. If you could look back to the beginning for the video of the little chart for that. But yeah, all your early game raids, you're going to get to a point where you can just do it like that. You just skip it. Yeah, so for here, I also have it for the impossible because all you have to do is get your first clear of everything. So getting your first clear means that you hosted the raid and it was cleared. You didn't have to do any damage to it. Okay, you could have sat there and let everybody else do it for. Well, you might have to do a little bit of damage. I would say hit it a little bit to get some like honor points. Um, like some honors, just like a little bit of honors. Do it to best of your ability, and then let everybody else do it for you. Again, some of the earlier raids, it's kind of hard to get people to join in because they are, in the earlier game. But again, you will just get, you use like 300 AP and these treasures listed below to fight them all. We're gonna do that. There you go. We will use what team will we? We'll just use the same team I used, to get some bonuses, and we're done. We get all those levels up, right? All that EMP that we got, tons of it, their extended masteries, like I know they were low on their extended masteries, which is why I wanted to do them. Right, great way to get that. Any weapon drops? Ooh, okay, okay. Oh, in a summon, this is really, really good because you're gonna need these summons to awaken. I don't think, I know this is a good weapon to have for like you fire people. Um, this is also a really good weapon to have for light users. I think that's the only good things we got in the weapon category. I think everything else is not really the best, but I think you get the point. You get to a point of the game where you can then skip your raids and you can just farm it efficiently that way and just always host the raid that I talked about. You get one host a day. People are going to fill that up fast because everybody's farming that. So you're going to get people who are going to fill that up and do that raid for you if you can't do it yourself. Okay. Alrighty. And I think that is going to conclude everything for my like brief overview, a new player progression guide from rank 0 to rank 120. Boy, oh boy, this is a long video, but if you did stick along throughout all of it, if you did it in one sitting, congratulations. I would have did this in parts, but again, thanks for your support, for watching. If you have any comments, any questions that I didn't really touch over, feel free to leave them down in the comments down below, and I will try to answer them to the best of my ability, or I will, send you or direct you to resources that you can use that can answer your questions you may have. So, of course, after you have progressed to where I am currently, or maybe you already are here, you're just seeing if you didn't miss out on anything. What is next? I would say, continuing farming your raids, continuing doing the main story, doing events, your co-op quests, right? Just farming, kind of deciding what goals that you want. Maybe you want to unlock a certain class, seeing what you need for that and farming towards that. And also finishing out a weapon grid, at least one, right? For one team, have a general, very good basic weapon grid setup and finishing that out and having that more fleshed out. And then obviously uncapping and leveling up your heroes that you like using for their respective elements and classes. So yeah, if you did enjoy this video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. And I hope to see you all in the next one. Peace out.